Hey guys, welcome to a new video. I've been testing out this new Lucian build and it's actually pretty nutty, so I wanted to go over it in a video today. This isn't like super overpowered or anything, but it makes you pretty much unkillable, which is hilarious when you're on Lucian, who can like dash about like a madman anyway. I haven't seen many people using this yet, so tweet me or leave a comment later in the video about how your games go with the build. This whole thing is coming after the Death Dance buffs, and we're using it instead of Blade basically, but next to a Phantom Dancer and Cleaver normally, then rounding out with a crit and maybe a more. It feels super good. Your abilities do way more damage with more AD, you heal for a lot more, plus it gives you some cooldown reduction. I guess the TLDR of this whole thing is you do more ultimate and ability damage, your autos slightly less, but you heal for more and you're harder to kill. It's kind of like if you're sick of this AD carry in 2K17 meta where everything blows you up, then I got you with this. Why is Death Dance good on Lucian, right? Obvious question. It's 80 AD, 10% cooldown reduction, which are both great for ability damage. The healing is 15%, but it isn't lifesteal. It's actually healing from all physical damage dealt. That means like if you Q somebody or every bullet on your ultimate, that is going to heal you. It also reduces initial damage taken by 30%, then you bleed that over 3 seconds and you actually take 10% every second. The healing is really cool anyway because you're a burst rotation champion, right? You use everything in a very short space of time if you think about it. It's like your abilities plus your passive shots, right? Like straight away, and then you kind of wait for them again and then you just auto attack afterwards. What I'm trying to say is it's easy to heal back more than 30% damage if you use everything together like you're going to anyway. It's also insane if you just ult somebody and run back healing the entire time. Part of the reason Lucian is so strong right now is because he's so hard to kill. Like in fact, out of every single AD carry, even though he averages almost 7 kills a game, he has the second least deaths per game. That is already kind of crazy, but when you realize he takes the most damage out of every single AD carry on average, that's insane. You take more damage than every other AD, but you die less than them all as well. That just does not add up. Some of this is the lifesteal, like it's really good with your passive, but also the dashes and you stay very safe, right? This build makes that even better. If you build this, you're going to deal a crap ton, but you're also going to be so much harder to kill. If we compare it to Blade, that's the obvious thing to do because you're building that at the moment. It's 40 AD, 25% attack speed, 15% lifesteal. The active is that 100 damage, plus we have the 8% current health damage on auto attack. So it's less healing. It's the same percentage, remember, but it's just lifesteal. It's not healing from all abilities as well, like Death Dance. It's actually half the AD, but we get 25% attack speed, so we attack more and those autos have the percentage damage. That's kind of what I mean by Death Dance is better ability damage and burst, but Blade is better auto damage. That is why it's pretty sick to start, really. Like we burst harder, it's better for the lane phase for sure, and after that we have two options. So I like Phantom Dancer and Cleaver. The Cleaver is really good for ability side of things. Like your auto attacks are not going to be as amazing, but you'll do a freaking ton of damage. It's another 40 AD and 20% more cooldown reduction as well, bringing us to 30% already. By the way, to make a point, right, you know how much your abilities do with Cleaver and Blade together, right? You burst pretty hard. That is with 80 AD total across both of those items. That is the same as on Death Dance alone. That is why it's so good early. But yeah, so you'll do more damage with your abilities. You'll also be healing a bit more with the arm reduction on Cleaver, and you dash around like a madman with that cooldown reduction. The Phantom Dancer is a whole another beast though, and I do really like this. It makes your build a bit more versatile because you've got auto attacks plus ability damage, but it's kind of more defensive. It sounds weird, but it is. You get the attack speed and crit, that's the aggressive part, but really it's the two passives that synergize so well. 7% move speed while you're within 550 units of an enemy champion, which is kind of basically your attack range, to be honest. It's really the 12% damage reduction against the last enemy hit though that is on the Phantom Dancer. You've already got 30% damage reduction from Death Dance. Well, like you bleed it after, but it's 30% off that first hit, plus now another 12% total damage reduction. Just to give you an idea, this is very rough. Math geeks, do not punish me for this, please. If Syndra's ultimate did like 2000 damage right to you late game, with this you could take like 1200 up front and then you'd have time to lifesteal the next 600 or whatever. That's not exact, but that gives you an idea of why this is bloody insane. This can actually get even better if you build properly afterwards, if you throw in a Moraman Mortius or a Blade of the Ruined King. Death Dance is really good on any champion with double lifesteal because you have even more healing to heal back the bleed damage, but these two are in particular. Moraman Mortius gives us magic resist so we take less damage in the first place, AD and cooldown reduction to cap you now at 40%. It's also a 350 magic shield and 20 extra AD and 10% lifesteal when that thing procs. You kind of want to think of this as like against an AP burst champion like Syndra or LeBlanc LeBlanc or whatever, you basically will just not die with this setup anymore unless you really screw it up, and you have to try really hard to die. The blade actually has a really cool synergy though. So the blade percentage damage is taken into account for lifesteal from the blade itself. The blade has 15% lifesteal on it, and actually you're going to use that on the 8% damage per auto attack. Also remember, you're applying that twice with your passive, so it's even more healing, but also with Death Dance, that heals for 15% of physical damage dealt. That blade percentage damage is physical. That means Death Dance is also going to heal for 15% of the percentage damage. I said the word percentage way too much, kind of got confusing, but basically if you put these together, the blade percentage damage on each auto attack will also heal for 15% from the Blade of the Ruined King and 15% from the Death Dance, which is nuts. That's in addition to 15% healing from abilities and 30% effective lifesteal on your auto attacks and crits as well. That is a freaking ton of healing now for Lucian, who already is really hard to kill. If we round that out with an Infinity Edge for late game, you've got such a loaded build. You're taking 12% less damage from Phantom Dancer and 30% less from the Death Dance after that. You have 30% healing kind of lifesteal to cover that bleed damage if you go for the Blade of the Ruined King as well. Your arm pen with Black Cleaver and the big crits from the Infinity Edge gives you the damage side of things, plus a ton of AD behind those crits to actually make them hurt. I know this got a little bit confusing, but honestly, like, the build gives you a ton of stuff that synergizes together super well. That's a really big part. It provides a lot of damage, but more importantly, it makes you almost impossible to kill if you can kite properly, and probably if you can't kite either, as long as you auto attack. There are a few things with this build to bear in mind. So it's not going to be as much damage as the blade into crit like we've seen before. It wouldn't be that far off actually, and especially late game I think this is good, but it's not quite as smooth throughout the game. Death Dance is also a very solid late game lifesteal item, even if you go blade first like before this patch. If you do the normal build, you can get the Death Dance last. The damage reduction will still help a ton. It applies everything in this video, and honestly it's a very similar build but in a different order basically. Remember as well, when you're using this, even if you are low health, you have to keep attacking to heal back that bleed damage. So many people get away on like 100 health and think, holy crap, that was really close, and then they die to the bleed damage after. You will take less, but you have to heal it back. You have to remember that. Ultimately, I think this build is really fun. You don't get bent over as much by bruisers or other champions, especially mid game, and that makes AD better for me to play. I can do more, I can kite, I can heal, and I do not instantly die, plus I still do a load of damage. Try it out yourself, see what you think, have some fun with it, and let me know what you prefer. Thank you for watching the video though. Remember to tweet me or let me know how it goes in the comments with the build. Have a lovely weekend, but for now I'm going to leave you with the robots.